So I made the stupid decision to decide that everything that is a Netflix original animation-wise, I'm going to at least consider covering it. Or because of this, I came to the realization that I had to cover Sword Gai the Animation. I never talked about Sword Gai before this because I actually watched it with the intent to make a video a lot of months ago. Almost a year ago now. It was one of the first video ideas I ever had. And then I watched it, and I just couldn't talk about it. That's how it made me feel. Not in a good way. I was not pleasantly speechless, let's put it that way. So if you really enjoy this anime, you can go ahead and listen to me in the background, but type down in the comments everything you like about it, because I would love to know, because I do not, and I mean do not, feel the same. Sword Gai is a Japanese manga series written by Toshiki Inu. If I said that incorrectly, I apologize, because I can almost guarantee that whatever your manga is, it is 10 times better than how it was adapted. Just gonna put that out there. No ill will towards you, brother. You probably do amazing work. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know where to start here. Let's just start off with the freaking storyline itself. Sword Gai's story, it's honestly predictable and filled with cliches. It follows a young feller named Gai. He becomes a host to a cursed sword and must fight against evil. The evil just so happens to be other cursed weapons. There's nothing really unique about that, and the execution in the anime is completely lackluster. Alright, it is just freaking boring. If you can think about it, if you can expect it, it's gonna happen. It's just like Card Fight Vanguard Overdress. Just think about it, boom, it's there. And that could be done well if it's executed properly, which it is not. One of the reasons it's not executed properly is because the pacing is so gosh darn slow. It moves at a sluggish pace, and I just wish somebody would have smashed it, squashed it, tore it apart before I had to watch it, because it moves so slow that it makes it very difficult to become invested in the story, in the characters, in anything. Episodes drag on and on without anything of substance ever happening, leading to me lacking engagement and lacking interest as a whole, and that slow pacing just makes some episodes feel like they're absolute filler. I can understand filler in something like Naruto while we're waiting on, I don't know, the manga to catch up to the show that it's adapting it from. This doesn't need filler. And I don't even know if it was filler. It just felt like filler because it didn't contribute to the plot as a whole. And that plot is a freaking mess. Alright? It's not unique. No uniqueness, but somehow they still make it convoluted as all get out. Because although they slow it down, then all of a sudden they grab their shell, and we are talking about Turbo. It goes so freaking fast that some parts become underdeveloped at that point, so we're wasting a lot of time on things that nobody cares about, wasting a lot of time with nothing happening, and then whenever we need something to happen, we just shove it out the door. Just shove that sucker off a freaking airplane with no parachute because we gotta go down fast, and that's exactly what it does.
Look, we're on E, okay? Just jump out!
Oh, I'm going, and you're coming with me!
But now that we've gone so fast, now we're confused. Now they're scared that the audience is going to be confused. Now I am confused. So we need to slow back down, right? We're going real slow again. This is freaking human centipede stuff right here. We're just barely moving because we're dragging along a lot of dead weight where they just couldn't handle all the crap being shoved down their throat. So now we gotta stop. We gotta completely just stop. Nobody move. No animation, just stop. Exposition time. That is where we get to. We have to explain the more quote-unquote complex plot points, because they're not necessarily complex if they're handled correctly, but they're not. They're simple, but they're made confused because they're handled in a confusing way. And it's just frustrating. Oh, trash. I will say that a good part, kind of, in a way, is the visuals. The animation is honestly not that bad, even though the fight scenes could have been animated better and could have had more oomph, could have had a little bit more weight, a little bit more impact, a little bit more finesse. There's no real moment where you're gonna be like, wow, that's beautiful, that's amazing, that's exciting, that's exhilarating, that's anything like that. That's not gonna happen. But when it comes to the lighting and the color, it adds to the overall darker aesthetic. The more somber and atmospheric mood really suits the dark themes that it's trying to convey within its very disorganized plot, you know? So I can give them points on that they do get to the point where they are doing well with world building, in a sense that it feels connected. Nothing really feels out of place. Like if it was a very bright show with a very dark tone, it just wouldn't quite feel right. You can do it well, and I have seen that done well, but it wouldn't work at all with a show like this one. So credit where credit's due. That being said, that same art could look muddy at times. It could add to a more boring feel whenever things are slow, because everything is just so dark and dreary, and it feels kind of flat. And when it comes to the tone that I brought up, the series does struggle to balance it, because part of the series is actiony, and the other part is trying to lean into a more horror. Did you ever watch Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness? How there were some scenes where it tried to be kind of in a horror element, but then the rest of it was still MCU? That's what we got here. The scenes that are supposed to be tense and frightening, they fall flat. And on the action half, the action sequences, they lack any real sense of excitement. There's no adrenaline. There's nothing that's got my blood pumping. My heart ain't trying to burst out my chest because I want this character to win. There's no Naruto fight scene where I'm getting real intense because this guy could die, or this guy did die, or this is happening. The stakes aren't raised. They're not there. And the reason that they're not is because the characters are so shallow. Almost all the characters in Sword Gai lack depth and development. The protagonist himself is kind of bland. He's forgettable. And the villains are in fact one-dimensional with no motivations or real backstory. Even the supporting cast fails to really leave an impression on me. And it's not because I didn't want them to, they just felt reused from other media. Does that make sense? Like whenever they do try to build up a character, there's just so many within the show that they all just kind of blend together. And it can become overwhelming if you are trying to pick them apart and be like, oh, I know him, he does this, and he does this, and she does this. It doesn't really feel like they are separate from one another, and it makes it extremely difficult to try to keep track of literally anyone, because they all feel like they're the same character that we've seen in other animation, and they don't really have anything that sets them apart from one another enough besides these ones are good and these ones are bad. And I think that's one of the side effects of having the darker tone all the time, because our main character is an edgelord, and it's not as a parody, it's not as a joke, it's taken completely seriously. He's just edgy all the time. Edgy. Ooh. Everything is dark, everything is depressing, everything is traumatic, nothing is ever good. And since he has no sense of real happiness, no sense of joy, nothing that we can really compare his negative emotions to care about the fact that they're negative for a reason, it's hard to care about him at all. And all of the characters have this problem. They feel one note and in turn one-dimensional, especially since they're in a medium with so many vibrant and recognizable characters. And the world building outside of its visuals fails to establish a real cohesive world. It really left me confused about the lore, about the rules, about how things even work in this dad blame place. There's no sense of history, no sense of culture, nothing. It makes it so difficult to be invested when the characters suck, and so does the world that contains them. And when it comes to the fight scenes themselves, and the animation, and the world, and the characters, all in one point, there is CG in the fight scenes that is really bad. I actually like CG. I know, people get real mad at me for this one, but I actually think it can be implemented really well. And I have yet to watch Chainsaw Man, and I saw a bunch of hate because people are like, CG, we don't want that. And like, dude, just be okay with it. It looks good, honestly, probably. I don't know, I haven't watched it, but I've seen the trailer and the trailer looked good. Cool. This is nothing like that. This is a big step down. This isn't like Aujin. This isn't like Beastars. This is bad. This is some bad CG in the fight scenes. Like, I'm not over exaggerating. I just want to make sure that I state it as bad as it is. It is really bad. Keep your expectations very, very low if you're going into this, because if you have high expectations for the fight scenes like some really foolish reviewers want you to have, it's really going to displease you. It's going to ruin any good experience you could have with this, even though it's going to be kind of hard to have a good one. And even without the freaking CG, there is an over-reliance on gore in general. The attempts at horror do fall flat, we've established that, bars, but it relies way too heavily on gore and violence to create any type of sense of dread. It becomes so predictable and boring. It loses the shock value by trying to shock me too much, and because of that, the value is completely lost. Editing Trevor here, although I do stand by what I said during the CGI part of this video, I do have to say that the CGI in and of itself wouldn't be awful if it was in its own show, but the way that the CGI blends with this show doesn't work very well. The way that the action scenes regarding the CGI go together are a very stilted, stiff mess, but the CGI in and of itself is not a complete disaster like I made it out to be. I just watched a better CGI animated anime on Netflix, as well as a 2D anime with CGI elements that did do it better on Netflix, so I was a bit biased when I first said this, and I just wanted to go ahead and correct that a little bit, because the CGI itself isn't bad, just the way that it is implemented, and it is implemented pretty poorly. But back to the video. I don't even think the soundtrack is that good. Man, now I feel kind of bad, but the soundtrack is extremely average. Bang freaking average. 5 out of 10. 5. Maybe 5.3 out of 10. The soundtrack is completely average. It's average in the way that it is implemented. It doesn't make emotional scenes more emotional. It never really adds any value to the animation as a whole. And if you listen to it outside of the animation, you're not really going to receive anything of benefit from it. It's not something that can hype you up when you're walking around, or exercise music, or something that can be chill and calm you. It's just average. It has no real emotion attached to it. Not in my opinion, anyway. Now, something good-ish that I can say is that Season 1 is actually a decent anime. Season 1 is maybe a 6, could be a 7 out of 10. I did enjoy Season 1 of Sword Gai because it had enough questions for me to want them to be answered. I had a lot of problems with it, but it actually pushed me to go to Season 2. Then I made it to Season 2, and I kind of just wanted to go and get my 21-year-old license. I'm not even 21 yet, but I wanted to go get my 21-year-old license so I could go to a certain type of weapon shop and put a certain type of thing towards my head and just not have to deal with this anymore. Because Season 2 is such a downgrade. It is such a fall-off point that it is ridiculous. It is so bad. It is like I am playing PUBG, right? I'm playing PUBG. I'm on my motorcycle. I've got a skin for it that it looks like a dad blame unicorn. I'm going really fast. I hit the biggest mountain I can do. I fly all the way up in the air, and then I fall down, and I land on the stupid tires, and then even though I do like 29 freaking flips and slam off the ground and die. That is Sword Gai the Animation Season 2. It is so bad. You are confused, now you're even more confused. You thought things were starting to make sense, it's about to get disregarded. You think everything's supposed to matter. Plot contrivances, inconsistencies, plot holes, everything's gonna come at you right now, real quick, and then we're gonna slow down, we're gonna drag on. This is when all those problems I mentioned before become multiplied by like 29. And you have so many questions, and then they'll never be answered. They'll never be answered. And when they are, when some of them are, you're gonna be let down. You're gonna be so let down. And then you're gonna make it to the end, and then it's gonna end on a cliffhanger. It's gonna freaking end on a cliffhanger. I don't know if that's even accurate, actually. That's how I remember it, but that might not have even happened, because I've been trying to forget about this anime ever since I watched it, and I just can't. I just can't. But I hope maybe I forgot about that part and it actually concluded, so if somebody is sadly watching it right now, they can actually get to the end, because there is no way that Netflix is giving this baby a Season 3. Because some of the fight scenes were fluid. Other fight scenes were freaking gross. They were just gross. That's the best way to call it. Nasty. They were filthy. They were filthy. That's what they were. They were filthy. Gosh darn it. So that is my review on Sword Gai the Animation Season 1 and Season 2. Will there be a third? I guess we'll find out. but I really hope there won't be. If you made it this far, thank you. I really appreciate that. And if you're looking for news, reviews, and whatever we choose when it comes to all things nerd, then stay tuned and subscribe. We'd love to have you, and I'd love to talk to you about Sword Gai in the comments below. I appreciate you, and above all else, I hope you have a great day. Thank you.